Hello and welcome to Real Opinions, and today I am going to be reviewing another crappy straight-to-DVD horror film. I don't know why I do this to myself. I actually don't remember the last time it paid off. They have been consistently shit. So, the subject of today's video is Bunnyman Vengeance. Normally, I would give my best plot synopsis at a moment like this, but this film is so incomprehensible that I've basically just had to write down the loosest summary of events that I possibly can, because I'm kind of at a loss with this one. The director, if you go on IMDb, the director himself has put the plot synopsis for this film on IMDb. But I actually don't think his plot synopsis makes that much sense, and I'm not even sure if it's that representative of the film itself, so I think I've got a better one. In this, the concluding chapter of the Bunnyman franchise, this is a sequel. This is actually the third part of the trilogy. The titular serial killer, whose name is Michael, by the way, returns home after an unfortunate run-in with the law. Upon arriving at his domicile, Michael soon discovers that his equally deranged family is busy embarking upon a quaint business venture, whereby they hope to exploit the legend of Bunnyman. I guess he's like an urban myth, and they're capitalising on this by making a haunted house where he used to live. Like, oh, come to the Bunnyman's home and we'll spook you. Although the whole family is initially willing to cooperate on this, whilst also killing people, I don't know. Tensions quickly come to the fore, and before long they're all at each other's throats and stuff happens. Normally, as I said, that plot synopsis would just be to give you a gist of what this film is about, but here it is honestly my best attempt as someone who saw the film at understanding what I saw. It's kind of therapeutic. It was just an hour and a half of incoherent, unrelated scenes. The film could have started at any point and it would have made just as much sense, because there's no cause and effect to anything. It's just stuff happening. This is the most accurate plot synopsis. People go to a house, they get killed, and then more people go to the house and they get killed. I understand that most slasher films follow a similar structure of some teens arrive somewhere and get killed by a serial killer, and that's fine. I'm not demanding more than that. But the problem with this one is, like, teens arrive at the house, within 5 minutes they all get killed, and then more teens arrive at the house, and within 5 minutes they're all killed, and it's just this cycle of weird stop-start narrative. There's no protagonist. I kept expecting each new character to be, oh, like, this is our protagonist, right? This is the final girl we're meeting at. No, they're dead. Oh, here's some new teens. Maybe these ones will actually be around for... No, they're dead. What about this? Dead? It's nonsense. It's like a whole film of prologues. If this sounds jumbled and confusing, this is a much more coherent representation of events than the film itself. I mean, at best, I gave you a narrative destination. You know that they're setting up a house to scare people with. You know that that's sort of what's happening. I didn't get that impression for a good chunk of the film until I realised that's what was supposed to be going on, because the storytelling is so confusing. It never introduces you to characters, it never tells you why anyone's doing anything. Most of the time it doesn't even tell you what's happening because it's all out of focus and in the dark. This is just my hopeless translation of 108 minutes of rambling non sequiturs. If you genuinely want to understand what this film is like, the closest thing I can think of is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a redneck family. They have one lumbering, iconic killer who's mute, who they all sort of mistreat. He's the Leatherface Bunnyman. And they live in this house and they kill people that show up. I don't know why. And I don't know why I'm supposed to care about any of this, because I never get introduced to any of the characters. In the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we follow the same characters for the whole time. That's not happening here. There are no characters. They don't even get names. They're just randomers that walk in and get murdered. I've never seen a film quite so aimless and directionless as this. I've seen worse films. I'm not trying to get hyperbolic and say, oh, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. It's up there. But I've never seen a film where I've sat there thinking, where is any of this going? This scene we're watching now, 20 minutes into the film, is the same as the scene we watched at the beginning, and it's the same as the scene we're going to watch at the end. I'm not expecting, like, high art. I'm expecting some semblance of storytelling and coherence. I've seen films that are worse made. Last time I reviewed a film on this channel might have been The Basement, I'm not sure. That was a worse made film. But this is one of the worst told stories I've ever seen. If you even think it has a story, which is generous. And no, you can't enjoy it for entertainment's sake either. This isn't a turn your brain off and you'll have fun film, because it's so boring. It's so tediously slow. And like I said, there's no narrative destination or direction. It's just ambling, pointless drivel. And the kills aren't even well executed or staged. And whilst I said that it's not the worst made film I've ever seen, and compared to The Basement, it is like a Alejandro Inarritu film, it's still not well made. The sound design in particular was, shocking. I was shocked by some of the things I was hearing. Like, below student film amateurish. At some points it feels like the filmmakers thought they could only use one layer of audio at a time. So, characters will speak, and there'll be like crickets in the background going like and someone will speak and they will interrupt the crickets for the period of their speech, and once they finish the crickets will just abruptly start back in. So it is like they've just used one layer of audio on Premiere Pro or something. So ambience is frequently cutting out to be interrupted by dialogue or other sound effects, because there's no kind of sense of layer. There's no mix, basically. There's no audio mix at all. And the ADR is some of the worst I have ever seen. That is not hyperbole, because there was one line where someone spoke and I genuinely didn't realise it wasn't commentary. I thought I'd like put a commentary track on. It's not like he doesn't sound like he's not in the same room as the other characters he's conversing with. It sounds like he's in a completely separate plane of existence, like in Poltergeist when the little girl's talking through the portal. It's that bad. We also have these recurrent flashbacks peppered throughout the film to Bunnyman's origins. This is the closest to storytelling the film gets, as it does attempt to give us a backstory for Bunnyman. And even they're confusing, because they're presented in like 8mm film. And I was thinking at first, okay, so is this film footage? The first time I saw it, I thought, it's film footage. Someone filmed these events and we're watching a whole movie. But no, it's supposed to be his memory. So Bunnyman remembers things in 8mm. Invariably, apparently, because every flashback is like that. Either that, or it is footage, in which case people are filming events they had no way to be present for, and they were stitching together multi-angle footage from different cameras, and then they gave Bunnyman a print of this film, like when he's burning alive. They filmed that, edited it together, and gave him it. These sequences are supposed to give Bunnyman, like, tragic motivation. You know, they're supposed to make you sympathise with him, which does not work at all. Firstly, his flashback, if anything, would just make him hate his family, so it doesn't justify why he's killing other people. And secondly, the things he does in this film are so gratuitous, so horrible, and there's no sense of remorse from him, and they're just unjustifiable. It doesn't matter what his backstory is, because at one point he punches a kid in the face, and then he curb stomps a woman into a chainsaw. But because he got bullied a bit as a kid, I'm supposed to weep. And then at the end of the film, it genuinely starts to posit that maybe he could have some redemption. This pretentious voiceover starts to intrude and says like, oh, maybe one day you'll be good, Bunnyman. No! He just stood on a woman and forced her face into a chainsaw. Nothing he does in this film is good. He doesn't have a redemptive arc. He never does anything moral. The best thing he does is take vengeance on those who bullied him. There's nothing he does that suggests he'd have a redemptive arc. So fuck you, I'm calling bullshit on that. And the thing is, like I said, it's really slow, it's ponderous, it has this pretentious voiceover, and it tries to give everything a tragic feel. And then the killings are brutal and nasty in that Rob Zombie way. So it's not like it's a fun, campy film. But they can't even commit to that tone, because there's this really weird sequence in the middle. This excursion into total lunacy, where Bunnyman has a dream sequence that's like a fucking meme. starts riding along on a motorbike, listening to Europop, driving inside people's ears and being breastfed by a giant bunny. When a film is this meandering, when it's this aimless, when it's this directionless, it feels like it could go on indefinitely. That was my main problem with this.